Here's the next question. Oh, from Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Everyone keeps using phrases like sustainable growth, responsible growth, etc. What does that mean to you? I think those of us who have lived here for some time don't think the growth has been very responsible, with so many high density areas being improved in small areas and increasing traffic and congestion. Okay. Yeah, that is a very great and thoughtful question. And I'm going to try to answer it in parts, if that's okay with you. Well, actually, I'm going to step back. What it means to me, it's not about the density of the homes. It's more about sustainable growth. To me means that this town's not going to die. And I say that because the average home is very expensive. There are not a lot of the town is losing some of its age diversity. And it can't sustain that for a long time without eventually like just people not coming here anymore. So sustainable growth to me means that it's everything and, right? So do we have housing for every age group? Because let's see, if you go to the end of the spectrum where people are their kids have moved out, they've gone to college, they're starting their own families. Now people are downsizing. Well, do you want to move from the town you've just spent 20, 30 years in because you can't afford to live there? I think that's the negative side to that. So to me, that's what sustainable growth is. Now, I will agree with you and push back on the density of the areas. And the only reason I'll push back is I think we should probably go back and look at our 2045 land use map, because it's constantly getting amended. Well, I think we're doing the amendments based on the request of the developers, as opposed to, and I'm not trying to throw shade, I think we should take a step back since we're doing so many amendments and asking ourselves different questions, looking at each section of that map and asking, does this make sense today? Because if a developer comes in and we just have that plot of land and they just want to get it rezoned to do fill in the blank, well, we're not being proactive. So I would say that maybe we, and we meaning the town and the town staff, should be asking different questions. Are we going to keep just amending because of the current request, or are we going to go back and evaluate what we approved in the past that's no longer relevant in 2025? It's not to throw shade, it's just a question. So I agree with what you're saying, but I also think just to not really push back, but I think a stopgap would be to evaluate the prior plan. And I believe we can walk and chew gum at the same time. The traffic is the last part of your question, and hopefully I can get that right. It's NCDOT. I don't say that we have a bad relationship with them, but I would also challenge that I haven't heard any real updates as to where our current priorities as a town are with with NCDOT. So just like the land use map, things have changed and growth keeps happening. So it kind of, in your question, reflects that. So I would say, okay, let's not pause on what we're doing, but we have to be systematic about reevaluating what we plan for with the land use and where our relationship is with NCDOT and if our priorities are the same. So that's just kind of how I look at that. And hopefully I answered your question pretty well. So Michelle asked again, that's my point, because the town continues to approve housing development with NCDOT not on the same page. So if we know that, shouldn't we be proactively asking ourselves, does it make sense? Okay, Michelle, I agree with you. So I'm not going to be in disagreement. So, and I was doing the Andre reading, so let me read Michelle's question or her statement. That's my point, because the town continues to approve housing developments with NCDOT not on the same page. So if we know that, shouldn't we be proactively asking ourselves, does it make sense? My answer is yes. I see the gap there, and this is without me being in the conversations that are happening before town council meetings or the sessions with staff. It has to be true. I can, I've been to a lot of town council meetings, and one of the things that concerns me is I've heard meetings where there have been developments proposed, and we're going to be short a school according to a Wake County's public school survey. I don't know why we're doing that, and there's no real plan to kind of mitigate that. So we're going to be short for a year. We're going to be short for 2 years. Those are things that I think those are risky moves, in my opinion. So I'm a firm believer in our partners at the state level, that we communicate and make sure that we're on the same page with the most current information, so that way we can make better decisions. Now, can we afford to be short a year with a year without one school? Possibly, right? But if it's 3 years, then that's probably a concern, because when new developments go up, they get filled pretty quickly. So all you're doing is exacerbating the problem. So Michelle, I'm on board. I just haven't seen it or heard it. And if somebody's out there on the town can point me to what I may be missing, please tell me. But from the outside looking in, that's what I see. And Michelle, I agree with you. Michelle says, thanks for making sense. Appreciate the thoughtful answers. You're welcome. I try my best. And Michelle, thank you for joining us, and I really appreciate it.